she arguably, I want to say that she's K-State's best player this season. Obviously, that's been Yoki. It'll still be Yoki. She's All-American for a reason. All the games that she has played, all the damage that she has done to opposing teams. Yoki is, of course, overall the best player, yes, but this season, that title right now, it belongs to Serena Sundell. It belongs to Serena Sundell.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
All right, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Run It Back here on KCSN, bringing you all things K-State women's basketball for another week. And once again, for another week, they are doing the damn thing, still undefeated in conference play, 18-1 overall, and as their record, currently still not ranked top 10. Still not ranked top 10. Maybe that will change. Then in the upcoming weeks, we think that every single time, and every single time they tend to fail us, even though that K-State is ranked, top 5 in net rankings. So I don't know. We'll see. Right now, we're getting robbed as far as not being in the top 10 ranking just yet. But you know what? That can only last so long. What they're able to be doing. So right now, we'll see. A few more teams got to lose. We just have to sit back and watch until that mess happens, so we can finally move the hell up. Because apparently, whoever else is in charge of these rankings, that's the only way. What more can these K-State women's basketball team do? Hell, I really don't know. They already handed out ass whoopings by 20 points minimum for the most part. So I don't know what else they need to do in order for them to be ranked top 10. But you know what? The best thing that they can do is just keep playing. Just keep playing. Let everything speak for itself, because at the end of the day, something's going to have to get right. Ladies are doing their job. They are doing their job. Now it's up for the rest of them jokers to be able to help them out and do their jobs as well. But you know, with that, I digress. We already know the stats they bring. You already know they number one in assists. You know that they're number one in defensive field goal percentage, 3-point field goal percentage, this, that, and the third. We know where they ranked. It's the same story every single week. This is a damn good basketball team, and that should be ranked top 10. We know. I know. You know. Everybody in Manhattan knows. Anyone who's a fan of women's basketball, they know. It's just, unfortunately, in the hands of the wrong individuals at this point in time until they prove otherwise. But, like I said, I have to digress. That's just my little spiel for the moment. Because once again, this K-State women's basketball team is doing exactly what they need to do and when they need to do it and how they need to do it. Okay? Because now, we talk about the most recent game last night against Arizona. Home game. Crowd size was meh. I know I didn't help with that because I currently live in a different state, but hopefully I'm gonna get my ass down there at some point for a game over the weekend. But this was a game that you, as a fan, you don't fully know that you want to see, because Arizona was able to kind of up the ante a little bit, trying to add a little bit of game pressure on them. But obviously, K-State is still able to win, 47-62 in this game, where it was a game that I think, Arizona got within 2 in the third quarter. And of course, this is a K-State team that's been handing ass whoopings to literally everybody, winning games by 23 points, 28 points, damn near 30 points every single time so far, almost damn near every single opponent they played so far, just in conference, not even to mention overall in non-conference play. Just in conference, the type of the winning margins they've been able to have. But Arizona, they were able to up that ante a little bit. Arizona's a good team. If you know anything about their program, they are a really good program. They've sent players to the W. They have played in national championship games in the last 4 years. They've done that. This is a team that has done really, really well in the Pac-12. This is a tournament team. They've been through the tournament. They've been through the ringer. They've done all these type of things that guarantees them as a damn good team. And this is a really young team. You had Brian Smoller and Missy Heinrich. They talked about that last night too. This is a really young team, and if this is a team that's going to stay together, they're going to be really good. If not next year, the year after that. We've seen this story. We've seen that story when it was K-State team itself. When it was a really young team, they stay together, they gain that experience, and boom, now they're on their way to hopefully being a top 10 team for the second year in a row, right? We've seen that story before, and Arizona has that ability to have that story again themselves because, like I said, they've been there before. They've had these type of seasons before. But coming into last night, Arizona, their record is not necessarily, it's not great. It's not necessarily like what it is. Their overall record, I think, before heading into last night, they were, where are they at? They're okay, 11 and 8. They're 11 and 8 on the season. So not the most impressive team overall, but still be able to give some teams some work when they're having the opportunity. But they did really well. They did really, really well. 67 points is a season low for K-State women's basketball this year. No, 62 points. 62 points is a season low. Normally, when you have more turnovers than the other team, when you only have 2 more rebounds than the other team, that you foul way more, the other team gets way more field or free throws, or overall in important categories, the other team does better than you, and you still end up winning by 15 points in a game that you were not shooting well at all. You did something right. You did something right, because I've talked about this every single week, to where sometimes offense is not going to always be there. The offense is not always going to be there, but one thing that will travel time and time again, baby, is defense. It's defense. That's what's up. Because here, I'm going to read you K-State offensively. It wasn't really great. Like I said, it was 62 points on the season, or 60 points this game, lowest of the season. They shot 45% from the field, 38% from 3. Not exactly the worst thing that we've seen, especially at the start of that third quarter. That's when things go awry. I've talked about this in past episodes, to where they didn't really learn their lesson when they maybe didn't end the half as well as they wanted to. Jada Williams, Arizona's best player, she was able to get a hell of a shot to end the half last night, and boom, they came in with a little bit more confidence, right? Then fast forward to the start of the third quarter. That's when things K-State has done really, really well at the past few games, because Houston was able to get on their behind about that, starting the third quarter off horribly, and they've lost the lead at that point in time. Or they was tied, they lost the lead, had a big lead, they lost it, whoop, wop, wop, this, that, and third. Games after that, they've corrected that mistake. This time, it came back a little bit. They had some momentum going into half. K-State came out flat in the third quarter, and Arizona was able to take advantage of that, right? So at the end of the third quarter last night, I think Arizona got it within 6 points. Got it within 6 points. That's huge for them. Huge for a team that hasn't had the most success of the season so far. Huge for a team that's currently on the road against the number 11th ranked team in the country. They're happy. They're giddy, as they should be. They've played a very good game all the way up to that point. But now, luckily, this is how you know that you have a really good team, when they're able to flip the switch just like that, and all of a sudden things just got away from Arizona and they weren't able to catch up. There's that ante could also be up with K-State side, and we've seen that time and time again, right? And we've seen that defense kind of really, really lock in, because yes, it was an ugly game for K-State offensively, for sure. It was an ugly game for Arizona as well. They only scored 47 points. But when you have a team who's hell-bent on trying to upset you, they are okay with making games ugly. They're 1,000% making a game ugly. Because if they make it ugly on your end, and they still have at least 1 or 2 of their players still cooking, that's normally a recipe for something bad. That's a recipe for an upset. When they're playing their best, or when they're making you play a little bit grittier than you wanted to, a little bit more physical than you wanted to, just getting in the way, being really pesky like this Arizona team is, that's where things can go awry if you're not prepared to do it. We've seen last year, I've talked about this in other episodes too, when they have gotten in a position to where they are ranked as high as they are, and they're getting teams' best shot, how last year they didn't exactly handle it the way that they've expected to, because at that point in time, yeah, they're a little bit new to all that attention. Now this team's a little older, a little wiser. They know exactly where these teams' best shots are going to come at them from and how they need to respond to it. And that's exactly what they did, right? Because once again, Arizona, they shot 40. They only scored 47 points. This is something that K-State's been able to do all season long, holding teams but well below their point total average. You still had a couple players doing really well. Isis Bay, she was cooking. She had 16 points. Already talked about Jada Williams. There was a couple shots here and there that I'm like, how the hell did she get that in there? And that's what she did. Only because Jada Williams is someone who's probably gonna be in the W in some years' time. You can or at least have her opportunity to be in the W in some years' time. So she was really doing good last night. But once again, overall as a team, K-State defense, they were able to do exactly what they needed to do. Arizona shot 32% from the field, 14%. They were 1 for 7 from behind the arc. This is a team that's able to jack up some threes and able to make some threes as well, but they did not get that opportunity against this lanky K-State defense that we know and that we love so much, even in the potential absence of Gappy the GOAT, OG number 1, that was stolen, I don't know, in Utah. But a replacement GOAT, whether that was OG Gappy or Gappy 2.0 on the bench last night, don't know. Either way, K-State defense was able to shut it down, right? So you see that this defense is always going to be able to travel no matter how poor offensively it may look like. K-State looked like they was on a roll to start the game. Arizona didn't score like a single point until over halfway through the first quarter. K-State was only up by 18 points then. If they were supposed to be what they were supposed to be, they would have been definitely up by at least 15 at the end of the first quarter, but that just wasn't the case because the offense, it just wasn't there at that point in time. And I will let you know exactly why it wasn't there. It's because Ayoka Lee, our 6'6" queen, Princess 61, we know her abilities. She only had 6 points last night, majority of which came from the free throw line. 4 of those 6 points came from the free throw line. She was one of one from the field. The type of defense that Arizona was able to play against Yoki, K-State got to make sure they can handle that towards the future, because there was a little bit more length in that post. I will commend that when they were throwing the ball into Yoki, it just wasn't really working. The passes had to be absolutely 100%. Normally, they're 90, 85% accuracy, and normally Yoki is able to do something with it. Last night against this Arizona team in the post, it had to be perfect, and unfortunately, perfect passes just weren't coming in. They were using their length. They were causing turnovers. I know you saw live adjustments where you saw a pass into Yoki was a little bit too short. The defense underneath it was able to catch it, and then it turns into a turnover. It's headed the other way. Then you saw a little bit later in the game where they tried to put a little bit more arc on it to make it a little bit taller for Yoki to be able to go up and get it. At that point, it was too tall and went right over her and then out of bounds. So what Arizona was doing against Yoki, it was textbook. But then also you had the rest of the offense not forcing it to her like we've talked about before, where you saw that issue against Duke, where they were trying to force it to her when clearly it's just not working and you need somebody else to create shots. And that's exactly what happened. You have your best player going 1 of 1 from the field and you still beat a team by 15 points, even though offensively overall it wasn't working for you. This is a sign of a very good team, right? And we're gonna dive a little bit more into it coming up. But first and foremost, you got to hit up homefieldapparel.com. They have everything you need. I got this super sick hoodie on from that website. Any hoodie, any t-shirt, any hat, anything that you may need, go to homefieldapparel.com. We'll be right back on Run It Back.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
All right, y'all, welcome back. We're going to talk a little bit more on this game against Arizona at home last night, where K-State was able to win 62-47. 62, their lowest point total of the season so far. Big thing that had to deal with it is obviously Yoki being essentially unavailable for the most part, but only offensively. Because as much as I talked about this defense and now this defense is able to travel when the offense is not really doing so hot, because sometimes that's exactly what happens. Sometimes shots just not going to fall. I watched Coach Mitty's press conference. He just didn't like their spacing offensively. It was an off night. And of course, Arizona's going to have a lot of credit for that because of how physical that they played. It was a very physical game. Officiating, a little spotty on both sides, essentially. But, that's neither here or there. It was a really physical game. Offense, it just wasn't clicking like it normally does, even though, of course, this was still a team that had 18 assists last night. Overall offense was not what we've seen it be. But that defense, which is the defense that we see every single game, was able to be here. In a game where Ayoka was not who she normally is offensively, she still had 8 blocks last night. The only thing that was really, that would help Arizona really get on these runs, especially in that third quarter where they would make things a little bit close, was when Ayoka was not necessarily in the game. I know she kind of tweaked her foot a little bit and she was out for a while, especially in that second quarter early on. Came out of halftime. She was good. Still kind of, working her minutes a little bit because Ayoka, she actually had 20 minutes. So that's a little bit more on her average because there was a time where Arizona was pushing a little bit. You put Ayoka back in there and then ain't nothing was going on in that paint while she was there. Nothing's going on. I know that's not unusual, obviously, because she's literally a brick wall, but she damn sure was last night. If something ain't going your way offensively, where things can go your way, if you got the effort and the ability and the drive to do so, it's defense. And everybody, 1 through 5, everybody on the bench knows when they step foot on that floor, they're going to have to play some defense. And damn it, baby, they do every single time. You'll never have to worry about effort when it comes to them. Okay? And that's what they're able to do. And every single last one of them was able to do that. Of course, this was a game that K-State actually had more turnovers than Arizona did. K-State had 16, Arizona had 14. But it's not always obviously about forcing turnovers, as we know. It's about you being able to get in the passing lanes. It's about being able to deflect the ball. It's about being able to, redirect shots. If you don't necessarily get them blocked, you just have to make jobs difficult. When you watch them do that, you have to deny people the ball. Just do what you got to do. It's not going to always show up on the stat sheet, of course. But when you're able to deny somebody who's hot, who has the hot hand, the ball, especially even Jada Williams, even though she still had, 14 points, 11 points. She had 11 points last night. This is a player that is leading scorer for Arizona, and damn it, she's good. We saw that come up a few times in this game where you had Zaina Walker on her first, and then Zai had a little bit of foul trouble early on. Refs gave her two fouls in the first quarter. That's kind of how you know the type of time that they were going to be on for the most part, and how she's not going to be the primary guard against her. That was more Serena Sundell's job for majority of the game. And even then, that's going to make things difficult because now you have a 6'2" guard on Jada Williams, and that's even going to be tough. You saw Serena have a hell of a block against her. I want to say that was in the fourth quarter. You don't have to face everybody. You're gonna have to face the length of this team. This is what you're gonna have to do, right? But now we talked about Ayoka not being able to be there truly offensively, but defensively is where she needed to be. But offensively and defensively, Serena Sundell, she's gonna do whatever you need her to do. And congratulations to her. She got 1,500 points, 500 rebounds, 500 assists, and 50 blocks in her career, leading K-State in at least all. And she's the first K-State player, I want to say, with those type of numbers. Now, with that kind of stat sheet, she does exactly what she needs to do. Game in, game out, whole time. She played a whole 40 minutes. Okay. What more do you need to say about her? Like, leading the country in assists. You know how many players play in women's Division I college basketball, and she leads the country in it? She had 8 assists last night on top of 16 points. Only 4 turnovers. 4 rebounds with it. She's not new to this, and we're not new talking about it. This is something that's going to be there all season long. God willing, she stays healthy. She does exactly what everyone needs to do. And she, arguably, I want to say that she's K-State's best player this season. Obviously, that's been Ayoka. It'll still be Ayoka. She's All-American for a reason. All the games that she has played, all the damage that she has done to opposing teams. Ayoka is, of course, overall the best player, yes, but this season, that title right now, it belongs to Serena Sundell. It belongs to Serena Sundell. What she's been able to do, because everything you need her to do, she'll do it. She'll D up on the team's best offensive player when she has to. That was like last night. Normally, that's Zai's job. From time to time, that's going to be her job too. And normally, when you have to go up against the other team's best offensive player, that can kind of hinder your offense as well, because that's a lot of extra work that you need to be done when you have to solely focus on shutting somebody down. Sometimes offensively, that's not going to necessarily happen for you just because of how physical that game is, where you're guarding someone's best player for a whole 40 minutes. That's tiring. That's taxing. A lot of times offensively, that just doesn't work. Well, now this is not the case. sure a game plan was not to have her on Jada Williams for the most part of the game, but that's just so happened to be what had happened. And she was still able to get 16 points out of it. She would still be able to get them goggles on and find the players that she needed to find, who was able to cut to the basket. She's being able to cut to the basket, open lanes. Whatever you need her to do, baby, she'll do it, and she'll do it well. Doesn't matter the type of competition. We saw them hand Utah some butt whoopings. Number 22 Utah in Utah, she was able to give them some work. It doesn't matter who's going to be in front of her or what she needs to do or what the game plan originally was and what the game plan had to be when the game started. We all know sometimes things change and they change with it, and it starts with Serena Sundell. It starts with Serena Sundell because she's able to do exactly what she needs to do every single time. All right. Tamara Poindexter, she finished with 14 points on the night, 2 rebounds. She got a steal as well. See, when a player is hot, you find a way to give him the ball. Talk about Serena Sundell, she's able to do it as well. Terrence Sides, she talked about trying to, give the ball to the hot hand, which is Tamara Poindexter last night. She was 4 of 8 from 3. This is the past 2 games she's been able to give people some work from behind the arc. You saw that against Utah at Provost. What she was able to do, I think she had 24 points in that game. That turned out to be an ass whooping there. This is someone who's able to, so far, pretty much be well adjusted to the Big 12. Obviously, she was in the AAC. She was at Tulsa. Obviously, player of the year over there. Clearly, things are a little bit different here in the Big 12. Everybody is good. That's a lot for pretty much every Power 4 conference. It's going to be night in, night out. Anybody's going to be able to hand you an L if you let them. Okay, things are just always going to be different. Physicality is different. Saw last night. That game was very, very physical. Something that she could still adjust on, but where is she able to really help? Still defensively, and of course, still be able to shoot the hell out of that ball when she has an open look. Even when she still stays calm in the face of pressure, still be able to shoot the ball and still be able to make it, shooting 50% from 3 last night. Her area of expertise, it's growing too. We knew she was a good defensive player going in. Talked about how she probably didn't defend a whole lot of guards per se when she was at Tulsa. Yes, because of her height and her length. But considering this is a K-State team where everybody damn it is tall, the average player is 6'1". You have that ability. You're gonna have to guard positions that maybe you're not entirely used to guarding. But when you see as well as she's been able to do so far this season, maybe that ain't no problem. And this is still gonna be able to grow. And Gisela Sanchez, I'm going to give her an honorable mention because she came in second quarter, gave us 8 quick points. She's coming off of a hand injury. I know beforehand, offensively, I can't say that she never had her opportunities. It was just she had a pretty jumper. It's just sometimes shots just weren't going in. She was able to get that mid-range going first, and then able to hit 2 threes. I'm like, baby, snaps. I love seeing this kind of Gisela Sanchez be able to come in and still play some defense and still be able to get the ball through the hoop with those quick 8 points. Now, I think she finished the game with 9. The offensive production wasn't necessarily there later in the game, but what else do you do when shots currently aren't falling anymore? Defensive end. I know she turned the ball over one time. She hustled, able to get the ball back. Like I said, everybody, all player 1 through 5, everybody on the bench, when they set foot on that floor, defense is something they're going to have to do, bring that energy, and all of them will do it. We see it time and time again, right? So, look, we know what this team is able to do. This is a team that you want to see them kind of face up against this kind of game pressure and see how they are able to, get beyond it. We've seen that a couple times this season and still be able to blow teams out of the water, right? This is a team that knows how to close out. That's something that was, absent in games past. Did it show up into other times before? Absolutely. But now when you were being headhunted, being as the best team right now in the Big 12 with you and TCU, you're being headhunted and you know exactly what you need to do in order to finish this game with a dub and still do it as an ass whooping. They know they have the playbook. And that's what they do. They follow through, right? So now, as I end the show, looking up at the upcoming schedule, baby, it's a gauntlet right now. It's a gauntlet. Right now they go up against Arizona State, who I think has a losing record at the moment. That game's going to be on Sunday. But then after that, that's when Todd, better tie up in britches, tie up in shoes, and lace up, because then the physicality is really gonna be there now. Because now after Arizona, you're gonna go to Colorado. That was a team who knocked us out of the NCAA tournament last year in Manhattan. That was very upsetting. And of course, you're gonna play in a little bit of elevation at Colorado. Good defensive team. Colorado, I think, was a team that was able to. Who did they beat a ranked team already this season? I'll have to dig in and see exactly who it is. But Colorado right now ain't nothing to sneeze at. Then who you have right after Colorado? You have Iowa State at home. We've talked about it. Audie Crooks and Ayoka Lee. That is a battle for the ages. They gave us, it was cinema. It was cinema in Ames last year of what we were able to see against them. Audie Crooks was giving Yoki that work, and Yoki was giving Audie Crooks that work right back. It was everyone, you put it down into the post and watch them work. It was just one of those masterpiece type of games. It was the rookie and the vet. Audie Crooks was a freshman last year. Of course, Ayoka Lee being the vet that she is and the star player that she is. That was a battle. That was a good game between the two of them. And I expect a little bit more of that now. Now you have a more healthy Ayoka Lee. Now you have a little bit more experienced Audie Crooks. You better lace up. You better lace up for that one. I know I think Iowa State is not, I don't think they're ranked anymore. They've gotten a couple of Big 12 losses so far. So, but that's a team where you gotta look out for it, because we know about them and they know about us. That's what that is. And then after that, you have KU, you have the Sunflower Showdown. That's going to be in Lawrence. KU doesn't necessarily have the successful season that they maybe has typically thought of, but that's still a team that's very, very good, and it's an in-state rivalry game. Everybody want a shot at us, and we want a shot at them. That's just how things go. But boom, big game circle. Big game circle, because right after that is TCU. I just gave you a little bit of that 5-game stretch that they're going to have up next. After Arizona State, once again, another team you cannot sleep on because of this conference. Then you have Colorado, you have Iowa State, you have Kansas, and then you have TCU. And then after that, you're going to have Oklahoma State. You're going to get to them in a second, too. But that TCU game at home, February 5th, middle of the week on a Wednesday. Right now, they're the number 10 team in the country. They're top 10. We're number 11. They are a team that has beaten really good ranked teams. They have beaten Notre Dame. They're the reason why they're ranked ahead of us, and we're not in top 10 yet, because we weren't able to get the win against Duke. That's something that has to be circled on why they're still ahead of us and why we are currently not in the top 10 just yet. They are one of the reasons why. We know Sonona Prince, Haley Van Lith, new head coach, a team that's got something to play for, and they've been playing very, very well. They play against Utah. Might watch that game, see how that goes. But that's for the Big 12 to me. Between K-State and TCU, who's gonna end this season with the conference title? That race is between the purples. It's between the purples, and it can easily be 1-1 split to split the games. That's when tests will be had. In my opinion, that's where tests will be had. On February 5th against TCU. We'll play them again, of course, later on in the season. I want to say, actually, no, I lied. This is the one game. We do not play them at all in the regular season. If we do, it'll be in the tournament. This is one shot. This is the one shot, and this could potentially be for a conference title. So you take that as you will. Take that as you will. Could I be wrong? Maybe, of course. I'm not always right, but that's the game that I'm going to need everybody to show up at. It's a Wednesday for me, so I can't go because, maybe got a job. But that's the game to where the ladies could any sort of extra help that can be given to them, go ahead and go to that. Clear your schedule, 6:30, Wednesday night, February 5th. That's going to be some more cinema. And that's going to be a game that K-State going to need to win, because that's going to be for the conference. But with that, I'll leave you be. Of course, K-State women's basketball, best team in Manhattan. I'll say it every single week because, damn it, it's true. So go ahead and support the ladies, and we'll see you right back on Run It Back next week. Y'all have a good one.